I landed in Mexico at the end of the month and sat down with my first P&L statement. I nearly fell off my chair. One item on the P&L statement stuck out, and that was incoming freight. In Canada, that line item is usually zero or nearly zero. Here in Mexico at my plant, it was 6% of sales. I thought, okay, we're in Mexico, we have cheap labor here, that'll offset it. Oh, not even close. I mentioned it at my first corporate meeting, and they simply said, go after the freight companies, renegotiate the contracts, get cheaper freight rates, that'll drop down your overall cost. Well, that's great advice, except freight companies are hard to deal with, and I didn't even speak Spanish. So here I'm in my first month with this impossible task. Why did I even open my mouth? So rethinking it, my strategy, I went back to what I normally do, walk the shop floor, see what's really going on. So I started with the walkabout meetings with my management group. Walking the shop floor became really evident. We had mountains of steel coils piled everywhere in the plant. And why was that? Well, the MP&L manager, his goal, and he had a personal goal, was to reduce the cost of freight per unit. So what he was doing is he was maximizing the trucks. He was getting 80,000 pounds of steel on one truckload, which reduced the overall cost of incoming freight per unit cost. But what was actually happening was he had this goal of reducing the freight cost. The plant was getting loaded up with steel. We had over 8 weeks of steel in the plant. It was taking up space and chewing up our cash flow. So on one hand, we had a materials manager doing what he had to do, but it was hurting the plant. So a personal goal was hurting the plant. So that's the moment I realized, not only did we have a freight or incoming freight problem, we also had an inventory problem. Then I started realizing, we have these offsetting costs and we have these trade-offs that are happening normally in the plant. So what do? We have some simple solutions, and we'll talk about that next week.